Okay. All right, good afternoon. It is afternoon. We usually have these at 12 noon. I never know whether to say good morning or good afternoon, so finally I can say good afternoon to everybody. Okay, we're anxious to play the North Carolina Tar Heels up in Charlotte Thursday night, 6 o'clock, open college football, although I think there was a game last night, wasn't there? North Dakota and somebody. So we're not exactly opening college football, but pretty much the first games are this Thursday night. And I think there's at least two of us playing, 2 games that is. But the one we're concerned about, obviously, the one in Charlotte. The Belk Bowl people are sponsoring the game. So I think Mr. Webb's here, right here, Mr. Webb of the Belk Bowl. And I know they had a wonderful game up there this past year with Georgia beating Louisville. And who knows if maybe we could end up in that bowl. Nobody has any idea at this time where anybody really is going to go. But that's a nice bowl up there, and we appreciate the Belk people sponsoring this game. Looking forward to see how we can do. We're pretty much an unknown team, unknown at the quarterback position. We believe Connor Mitch will play very well. He just hasn't played yet. They got several young receivers that have not played much at all. We believe they're capable, but we got to go up there and kick it off or receive it and start playing football and find out what we're all about. North Carolina is a pretty much seasoned team on offense. Their quarterback has played very well. Quinchad Davis is a big-time receiver, and they've been very good on offense the last several years. I think setting a lot of school records and so forth up there. So it'll be a good test for us. We believe we're going to play a lot better defense, and hopefully that will show up once we kick it off up there in Charlotte. But again, this team we have has trained well. I think we're in excellent condition. Someone mentioned when we were doing our run across the field drills after practice yesterday that most of the guys did not seem to struggle as they have in the past, and everyone was making their times okay. So I think it's a well-conditioned team with a good attitude, but again, we got to go play. We got to really go play, kick it off, just to find out what we're all about this year. Okay, any questions?
Raise your hand, please. Microphone to you. David with the first one. Yes.
Steve, in the preseason, you said you really like this team's energy and camaraderie. Has that held up throughout preseason camp?
I hope so. Again, it's all about when the real game kicks off. It's all about that. As you know, all of us coaches, we're all undefeated right now. Everyone's positive. Everyone's anxious to go. And 50% of the teams that play are going to lose this week. We all know that. So we gotta wait and see just exactly what all occurs. North Carolina has really believed that they've improved defensively. They've had a year on defense similar maybe to what we had a little bit last year, giving up a lot of yards and points. So they're confident that their defense is much better, and we're the same way. So it's going to be interesting up there.
Coach, you talk about the receiver position being unknown. Do you have an idea yet, though, who will start alongside Pharaoh Cooper? And do you just plan to rotate guys throughout the game as it progresses based on how they're performing?
Hopefully the ones that start the game will play well and play most of it. Again, we got 2 running backs we know are going to play, Brandon Wiles and David Williams. But we plan on playing our best players most of the game, as we usually do. Again, the receivers, Debo Samuel will probably start one of the split end positions, and probably Carlton Hurd at the other when we're in 3 wides. Jarrell Adams at tight end. Although he's not practicing today, he sort of pulled his hamstring a little bit, he said the other day. But he should be fine to go by Thursday night.
Steve, what kind of preseason did your running backs have, and how big is the drop-off when you have to take Brandon out and put David in?
Drop-off? Well, hopefully not much of a drop-off. That's why they're both playing. David had a lot of good runs last year. In fact, he was actually in the game down in the swamp in overtime and had several key carries, making first downs and so forth in our overtime win down there. Yeah, we have confidence. Both those players are very good and ready to play, and we will certainly try to run the ball against North Carolina. I think they know that, and we'll certainly try to throw it also.
In general, how accurately are you able to gauge how well a team will play before it actually plays? Not just this year, but in your career. Do you usually go into a season opener feeling like, I know about what they are, or do you have no idea?
Oh, most of the time when you have returning players, it's not that big a deal. We know how this guy played last year, or maybe even the year before that. We just have so many unknown players. Again, some players are very good when the lights come on and there's people in the stands, and sometimes other players don't perform quite all that well. So we just got to wait and see. At any time you're inexperienced, I believe you do have to wait and see a bit. But they've performed well in practice, so we should perform well during the game.
How big was the gap last year between what you expected and going into that first game and what you saw?
Well, the gap defensively, as you know, we played pretty well in preseason practice on defense. In fact, our defense stopped the offense very often in our little scrimmages. And then all of a sudden in that game, we really struggled. So, you can't tell. I don't think you can tell. One game to the next. Most all college teams, most of them are capable of beating the other team. Maybe one or two big plays might determine the winner. So you got to hope and believe your players are ready to make the big plays when it's there.
Mm-hmm. Phases you have, especially on defense, are you a little bit more anxious this year than maybe other seasons to see your defense perform, especially against a pretty good offense?
Yeah, I think our defense will represent South Carolina in a very positive way. I think we'll fly around, get our hits in, be a better tackling team, be in position. North Carolina, they're going to move the ball, and I think we can move the ball. And then it's going to probably come down to the team that takes care of the ball the best, doesn't turn it over, and so forth. We've emphasized getting turnovers, and whether or not we can, we just got to wait and see. We've emphasized taking care of the ball. Sometimes we're a little careless with it, but we can't afford to be careless with the ball, that's for sure.
Steve, over here.
Yeah.
It seems like you like this series with UNC. Is it because of the border thing or going back to when you were at Duke? What do you like about playing North Carolina?
Oh, it's sort of a natural game. They're our border state. We're right down here. They're above us. And it used to be a big game both were in the ACC. We're not now, so we don't play each other every year. But I think the fans like a game against somebody close by. Some of these conferences have added teams all over the place that, to me, doesn't make sense. Like West Virginia playing in the Big 12. I don't know how that makes sense, but that's the way they're doing it. And but they're right close by to us, and I think the fans see each other a lot during the course of the year, just like we see Georgia fans, Clemson, and so forth.
Steve, is it evident to you that Connor Mitch is a guy whose brother and dad both played quarterback at a major college level? Does that show in any way in his preparation or his demeanor or anything?
His demeanor is a lot like most quarterbacks now, I think. He's not a real loud guy and so forth. It's going to be interesting to see how Connor performs. We're all waiting to see what happens. He's very capable, and we're going to give him all the support we can. So hopefully we'll have some good plays on, and he gets off to a good start.
Steve, you probably got to know Gene Chizik a little bit when he was head coaching at Auburn. Now with him in charge of the defense up in North Carolina, what do you know about his defenses and his style of defense?
Well, we researched a little bit of what Auburn did when he was the head coach, and certainly. He had tremendous success at Auburn and Texas as a defensive coordinator. So we've looked back on some of the schemes he did back in those days. But again, I mean, you know, who knows if he's got some new schemes or this, that, and the other. We're expecting a lot of different stuff. And I think they're probably expecting some different stuff from us also. Yeah, the days of just lining up in a 4-3 or 3 deep, 2 deep, or whatever are over. Guys are disguising. They're bringing guys from all over the place, and that's what really college defenses are about now. It's they have that term, a fire zone. You know, they could rush anywhere from 5 to 6 guys and play zone behind it. And it sort of looks like a zone to the quarterback, but it's they're blitzing. They're blitzing and still playing zone. So that's been the new thing in college football the last several years. Certainly we do it, and most everybody does it.
How was Shaq Davidson? I think he tore his knee up the other day.
Yeah, Shaq had surgery on a knee that he had torn a ligament, and he's scheduled to have surgery on his other knee in about 6 weeks. It had been bothering him also. So Shaq needs a whole year to get his knees ready to play for next year. So he'll definitely he'll have his second redshirt year this year.
Coach, just going back sort of to your last point, talking about scheming for the offense with some of the unknowns and Connor Mitch making his first start, do you try to simplify the approach you take against North Carolina, or is the whole playbook available?
Oh, we've got a lot of plays in. We've been practicing pretty much the whole preseason, so we've got them available. Hopefully we can sort of hone in on 4 or 5 formations and 4 or 5 good pass plays that have a chance and so forth. But, yeah, Connor's been here for a while. He actually came in January, enrolled early a couple of years ago. So he's been here a while, and he knows the offense pretty well. Okay, Josh.
Beyond Farrow, have you been able to identify guys offensively who you think can make plays for you this preseason?
Well, Debo makes a good play every now and then, and the running backs, you know, have been pretty good. But we've been careless too. I mean, we've dropped some passes, we've jumped offside. We got to tighten up these next few days of practice and get ready for a real ball game. So we didn't practice as well as we'd hoped yesterday. But again, I think the guys are anxious to get out there today and have a good one.
In terms of guys who can make plays for you offensively, is there a number that you'd like to have? You say, I'd like to have at least 3 guys who I feel like I can go to in certain situations, or is one enough if he's good enough?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Certainly we got to throw at Carlton Hurd and Debo and see if they can make some plays out there. So they'll get their chance.
Have you used last season's opener as a teaching point at all, or are you just treating this as a completely different set of circumstances?
Are we treating?
Did you use last season talking to your players as a teaching point at all this season?
Not too much. All of our players know what happened last year. But we were happy to win the bowl game and finish with a winning record. So it wasn't a complete bad year. It turned out to be decent the way it ended. But again, we feel like we can play better. We feel like we can coach better. And time will tell if we're right or wrong. But we're looking forward to going up to Charlotte, playing a rival team from the old days anyway. North Carolina, South Carolina was a big game several years ago. So somebody's going to have bragging rights for at least 2 or 3 years. When do we play them again? 2 or 3, 4 years, something like that? So somebody will have some bragging rights, and then we'll move on to the next game after this one's over with and so forth. But, yeah, a lot of unknowns, probably on their team too. Probably they've got some new players playing on defense, I guess, that they're confident they're going to play well. And we all just got to wait and see how it goes about.
Steve, how do you feel about playing a regular season game in a neutral site?
I think it's fine. It's sort of right between both schools, right up the interstate, and the fans can get there easily pretty much from both states. So I think it'll be a good game. Should be some interest. We play a lot of out-of-conference games that have a big interest. Certainly our Clemson game draws a big interest, and even when we play the other in-state schools, they get fired up coming in here. Wofford, Citadel, South Carolina State, Coastal Carolina. So it's, I would say there's some big interest in all these games. Very big.
Received the information about the helmet stickers
Yeah.
for the year. Why was it important for you to honor the men on the
our
way?
team felt like it would be appropriate to have a sticker on our helmet in honor and memory of the 9 people that lost their lives in Charleston this summer. So there will be a little sticker on our helmets. I think it's the palmetto tree with 9 doves around it. So it'll be on our helmets this year in honor and memory of those folks.
Steve, you talk about all the unknowns, but you have some pretty good knowns, Elliott and Farrow, on special teams. Do you think your special teams can give you a significant edge this year?
Let's hope so. Let's hope our special teams do better than last year. We were not very good covering kickoffs, especially one game. Other than that, we were okay, I guess. We didn't have a return, I don't think, last year. The year before, with A. Sanders here, 2 years before, I guess, we had several. But Pharaoh's back there. If we can give him some blocking and hold up, certainly he's got a chance to return it. Kickoff return right now, we've got Debo Samuel back there, Sean Carson, and a freshman, A.J. Turner. So hopefully we can give those guys some room to go. I know North Carolina has excellent punt return guy, and they're very good on kickoff returns also. So we've certainly emphasized covering punts.
How'd you get Brett Favre out at practice, and what kind of message did you send to your guys?
Yeah, Brett was in town. His daughter is visiting University of South Carolina, potential volleyball scholarship young lady. And so Brett came by for a visit, and I think there was our volleyball team won. In fact, we beat, was it North Carolina Central we played? Yeah. So he was in town visiting and came by football practice yesterday, said a few words to the team, and he was amazed at our facilities also. He said, I live in Hattiesburg, so I'm out there at Southern Miss all the time, but you guys don't know how good you got it right here. So I think our players do know that now. Not only our practice fields and our academic center, but the new residence hall that's open this year is as luxurious as there is anywhere. It's like a condominium-style living. Every player has their own TV, own bedroom, washer and dryer in every unit over there. So it is a top-of-the-line living facility. Anything else? All right. We'll see you up there Thursday night.